Okay, welcome to the class. This class is going to focus on strengthening and releasing tension, strengthening the low back and releasing tension in the low back. And I'll also focus a little bit just on general stretching, just to keep the limbs limber, especially the backs of the legs, the lower parts of the legs, and the upper back as well. So we'll focus on those kinds of things in this class. Okay, so the first thing is to come to a place of stillness, and let's start that. Let's start that by movement into stillness, and just a real simple movement here. I'm just swaying my body right and left. And during this swaying, I'm getting information from my low back. I'm getting information from my low back, whether it's tight or strong, or if there's pain there in any way. I'm getting information from my low back as I move it. The amount of swing that comes in here helps me determine how the pain in my back is, or how my back is in general, whether there's pain or not pain. But so we're just starting out by getting a sense, swinging side to side, getting a sense of the range of motion available to you at this time, at this moment, and taking in that information consciously, right? Getting a sense like, how far can I sway my back before I can't do it anymore? Is it pain in the back that prevents me from swaying, or is it just the lack of, well, that's where my flexibility has its limit, right? So for me right now, just to be transparent here, I'm not feeling anything at all that I'm aware of with regards to pain as I'm swaying my body right and left, but I am feeling the limitations of mobility here. So this, if I'm going to keep my back straight, keep my back long, this is about as far as I'm physically able to go, and then going the opposite direction. Now I could try to force my body to go further down, but I don't want to. That would be outside the realm of yoga as far as I understand it. And we just want to be careful about doing things that harm ourselves. So once we get established our range of motion here as we sway side to side and feel the sit bones, the weight of your body being distributed over your sits bones. As you lean to one side, you're going to have one sits bones a little bit taking more of the weight than the other, and then it shifts over to the other side. Now the other sits bone has more of the weight, carrying more of the weight. And what we want to do is equally distribute the weight between the two sit bones so that each are equally carrying the same amount of weight. And just settle there. And see, how's your back there? Just settling right in center. Let's get a sense of the distribution of the weight through the sit bones. And even when we're still, even when the body is still, one sit bone might be just very subtly holding or carrying a little bit more weight than the other. So see if you can pay attention to any subtle inequalities there. And at the same time, notice how your back is feeling. I'll just sit here, pause for a few moments. If you have a mantra that you'd like to recite at this time to keep your mind focused, you can do that. Om is a wonderful mantra to recite to yourself. Om, Om, Om. just to keep the mind focused. Om. All right. And then coming out of this stillness, let's rock the body forward and backward. We'll hold on to the knees, keeping the back tall. Be careful as you come forward. We want to make sure the back is staying tall here as we lean forward. Right? And so instead of any stretch coming into the back there, we want to feel this stretch from the top of the legs, where the legs meet the pelvis, around the hips. And then slowly coming back to center, holding on to the knees, leaning back just a little bit. It doesn't have to be much of a swing there. But again, coming forward a little bit. Notice the feeling in your thighs, your hips, as you rock forward. Right. Okay, then the next movement is a circular movement. So again, checking in, getting the signals from your back. How does this feel? Like I noticed, oh, when I lean back to the right, I noticed, oh, I'm gonna do this a little bit slower in this area because I felt a little twang of something. It wasn't exactly pain, but I know that in the past I've had pain there in the low back on the right side. So as I'm circling around to the right side, I'm just noticing, oh, how's that? Oh, it's not bad. Okay, let's keep going. So if you're, it's good to start out a little bit cautious as you circle your body. It's good to start out a little bit cautious as you circle your body around. And then once you feel like you're okay, you could pick up the speed. And again, here, we're just kind of keeping our back tall. And then when you're ready to pause and circle the other way, go ahead and pause. And then circle the opposite way. Again, here you may want to start out a little bit slower. See if there's any issues with the back. All right. And then coming back to center. All right, let's swing our feet behind us and come on to all fours. We'll just stretch out the left leg, just to give the knees a little stretch, and circle the left foot around the ankle a few times. There might be considerable stiffness in your calf muscles, so you could also leave your foot on the floor and rock forward and backward. And then try the other leg, circling that one around. Or possibly landing it on the floor and just stretching the calf muscle. Now, the bounce could be as fast or as slow as you want. Just check in, see how it feels in that calf muscle. And then let's transition here to downward dog, kind of walking the heels in place to get those lower parts of the legs stretched out. You might feel this all the way up into the hamstrings, the upper parts of the legs, as you draw one heel down. See how that feels.
Okay, and then let's place the knees down. Decide how much space you want between your knees. Sitting down on your heels and lowering your head down to the mat. We'll just kind of walk our fingertips up towards the top of the mat. This gives a nice stretch to the hips as well as to the back as a whole. Kind of lengthening it here. You could even come up onto your fingertips. Give the shoulders a little stretch, the upper back, and the lower back is seated in there real nice. Doesn't have to do anything. It's often those muscles around the low back, not the low back itself, that are tight and create pain for the low back. The low back pain often stems from the muscles lower than the low back, around the legs, around the buttocks, around the hamstrings. These muscles, these are the ones we want to focus on today. Hips and hamstrings. So take a few breaths here. All right, and then let's come back up to downward dog when you're ready, as a means to transition to standing. All right, so take your time. Come into downward dog for a few seconds, a few breaths. And then let's walk the feet in or to the front of the mat. Coming into a forward fold, a good opportunity here to stretch those hamstrings. And one way to do that is just to hold on to the leg somewhere, anywhere between the ankles and the knees, and begin to straighten the knees in such a way that you don't feel a stretch in your low back, but you feel that stretch in the hamstrings. Okay, and then let's fold forward, bring the head down, bend the knees on purpose, and we'll just roll up, roll our back up, just curving it so that it eventually comes upright. It's kind of breaking up the fascia tissue in that surrounds the muscles. And that's where the stiffness is, when that fascia doesn't want to break up. All right, we just kind of lift the chin up, draw the sternum forward. All right, and then let's do our first sun salutation. We'll just do 2 sun salutations. Ready? Let's bring the palms in front of the heart and drawing the arms forward and up, just an overall stretch of the body. Inhaling and exhaling. Okay, bringing the hands down now. Bend the knees if you have any muscle spasms going on in your low back. Bend your knees. Take a few deep breaths here. And when you're ready, slide or step the left foot back. Go ahead and come into a lunge. You can also stretch out the ball of the left foot by curling the toes underneath the foot as you're doing this and gently rocking a little bit on your back foot. And it stretches all through that thigh muscle as well and the hips. Ready? Let's slide or step the right foot back, plant the hands firmly. Downward dog, lifting the tailbone. Okay, and let's go ahead and lower the knees, bend the elbows, lift the chin. Ready? So this action here of lifting the tailbone helps to stretch the core muscles. Lifting the chin also helps to stretch the core muscles. And as we bend our elbows and then come forward and down. Just uncurl your toes then, and let's lift up the head. And then push into the hands, bend the knees, straighten the elbows, curl the toes under the feet, and then straighten the knees, keeping the elbows straight. Again, there's that stretch in the back of the legs. It's so helpful for the back. And left foot steps forward or slides forward. Here we can do the same thing with a foot on the other side, rocking a little bit to stretch out the muscles around the ball of the right foot, as well as all the way up through the thigh. You might feel some stretching there all the way through your thigh, where the thigh meets the muscles around the hips. Just through this rocking motion. Okay, just do that a couple more seconds. And when you're ready, we'll step or slide the right foot forward. And just kind of jiggling the head a little bit. Take a couple of deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll up again. We'll roll up to standing. Continue to allow the arms maybe coming out to the side this time and up. Lifting the chin, perhaps. Just to extend forward a little bit with the front of the body and then draw the hands in front of the heart. All right, number 2. I'll just do one. This is the last one. Circle the arms out and up. And fold in half. All right, and take hold of the leg somewhere, lifting the head part way, and just working towards straightening the knees. Okay, and then coming back down, real nice stretch here as your head comes. You can even take hold of the backs of the legs, draw the forehead towards the knees. All right, wonderful. Bring the hands down. Right foot slides or steps back. Same thing here, a little stretch. Right, and the left foot stepping back. Straighten the elbows, straighten the knees as you draw the head down. Get a nice stretch out of the shoulders here. We can kind of tilt the hips one way or the other by bending just a little bit one knee and then bending the other knee a little bit. Stretch out the shoulders a little bit in this way. Right, and then lower the knees down. And turn the fingers pointing inward, bending the elbows, head comes down. You can lift the chin up here and make your way onto the floor. Uncurl the toes, elbows coming in, lifting the head, pushing up, bend the knees, curl the toes under, and let's sit back on the heels for a child's pose. All right, and just really walk the fingertips as high up the mat as you can get them. So nice stretch to the shoulders. You can lift the palms of the hands off of the mat. Take a few breaths. Okay, and then beginning to slowly lift the head up, plant the hands, lift the knees, downward dog. Okay, right foot stepping forward. This is really a key one. We're going to do more of this here. This lunge in a slightly different way. Left foot stepping forward, straightening the knees, hold on to your legs, lift the head partway up. All right, let's lower the head down now. Clasp the hands behind the back and squeeze the elbows together. Squeeze the shoulders together as best as you can. Keep them away from the ears, down and away from the ears as you squeeze them behind your back. Forehead coming in toward your knees. Take a couple more breaths here. Shake out the head a little bit. And then coming up to stand. Release the hands. Let the shoulders sink down away from the ears. And I'm going to reach them out to the side. So bring the hands behind the plane of the shoulders as they rise up behind the ears and a little bit back, and then hands in front of the heart. Okay. Now, for this next part, we'll need a chair or a bench to put next to a wall. So find yourself a chair and put it next to a wall. Let's see, lighten this up a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. So pushing the feet of the chair against the wall. And we'll start out by placing our hands on the wall itself and stepping up on the chair. So either foot you want to start out with. And then we're going to walk our hands up the wall and bring our head down towards the wall. Walking our hands up the wall, bringing our forehead down, and feel that stretch through the shoulders, but also through the hip of the raised leg, kind of pressing into the wall. So this is kind of a standing lunge. All right, and then move your head away from the wall. Let your hand slide or walk down the wall. And let's switch legs. Let's put the other foot up. And for right now, we'll do this a few different ways. Right now, we're just going to keep the standing leg close to the chair. Okay. All right, ready? Let's walk the hands up the wall. Lower the head and breathe. So your forehead could be touching the wall and just walking those hands up the wall, kind of like a child's pose combo with a low lunge. All right, and then lifting the head up, walking the hands back down. Let the shoulders relax, and let's take the foot down and see how your back's feeling here. Getting those shoulders in the right place, hopefully. Letting them sink down away from the ears. You can roll them a few times just to confirm that they're not in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. All right. So this next one, we'll step the opposite foot up. And I'm going to start out by standing a little bit further away from the chair. Right before I was standing close to the chair, now I'm going to step away from the chair. I step my right foot up here. I'm doing my right foot because that's what I started out with. And then walking my hands up the wall, head comes down. This time it's not going to touch the wall just because of the distance my foot is away from it. Keep the back long and tall here. So notice how we're stretching the muscles below the low back
We're also stretching the shoulders, and the low back stays long and strong. Okay, and then sliding the hands or walking them down the wall. You can push into the wall here. Push into the wall. It's like you're trying to push the wall away. Right. Push into it. And then let's step that right foot down, or whichever one you're using, and step the left foot up. Here, we could even practice without, even before we walk up the wall, and just work on bending that left knee or the raised knee, right? And then we walk up the wall. Okay, if it's more fun, I'm noticing even just keeping the hands a little bit lower, maybe about shoulder height, can be a great benefit. Okay, let's switch the feet again. Let's go back to the other one. So hands are about shoulder height. And we switch feet and just kind of pushing the wall, pushing into the wall with the shoulders and bending the raised knee. Okay. All right, let's step that right foot back. And now we're just going to push into the wall, pushing into the wall, keeping the head lifted for the time being, keeping the head lifted, pushing into the wall. Let's maybe even step the feet back a little bit more to get a nice stretch to the calf muscles here. The calf muscles get a nice stretch. And then we're going to lift the tailbone up a little bit, lower the head between the arms, and you can work on where you place your feet here. All right, and then let's walk the feet towards the wall. Now we want to move this chair out of the way, and we're going to do the shoulder clock. I'm going to do the shoulder clock. This is a wonderful one for releasing the muscles in the upper back and shoulders. So let's start out by lifting I'm doing my right side here. My right side is against the wall. My right arm is up to the top of the wall here. Make sure that and you put your right foot as close to the wall as you can get it. And we're just leaning into it, leaning into that right shoulder a little bit. Okay, and then like the hand of a clock, we're going to move it to 1 o'clock. So if you imagine the face of a clock here on the wall, we're going from 12 o'clock to 1. And here too, we're leaning into the wall leading with the shoulder joint, leading into the wall. You could also turn your chin away from the wall. And then 2 o'clock. Let's move the hand down to approximately 2, continuing to lean into the wall with that shoulder. Turning the chin away from the wall. Get a nice stretch through the neck and the pectoral. And then 3 o'clock, bringing the hand down to approximately 3 o'clock. The small hand is on 3. And again, turning the chin away, leaning into the wall with the shoulder. And then resting. If you're like me, you might feel tingles, pricklies, pins and needles in your fingers or your hand. That'll go away very quickly, or it should anyways. Now check out if your arm hasn't lengthened at all. right? Your right arm compared to your left arm. I'm reaching, if you just have them at your side without trying to stretch either arm forward, just lift them up and see if one arm hasn't become a little bit longer than the other. And I notice I've got a full inch now longer. My right arm is a full inch longer than my left arm. It might be hard to see that from this angle, but anyways, I can see it here. My right arm is when I put my hands together, it's a full inch longer. So there's a lot of stretching going on in that right shoulder, just doing that. Now let's equalize it out. Let's do the other side. Left arm up the wall. Okay, and same thing going over this time to 11 o'clock. Now you can adjust the space between your feet if you need to. It's whatever helps you to feel that stretch in the shoulder. So we're just kind of gently leaning the shoulder in towards the wall and turning the chin away from the wall. Breathing here. Okay, and then 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock with the hand, the left hand. I'm even bending my left knee just slightly here. You might not be able to tell. It's getting a little bend to it. And then 9 o'clock. The idea is to stretch those muscles around the shoulders and the pectorals. Keep the back tall and strong. And then release. All right. Now, those two arms should be equal, as I got a lot of pins and needles going on in my left hand right now, so I just want to squeeze my hand and open and close it a few times. All right, I'm going to test it, see how, I'm not trying to stretch my arms forward, but just lifting them up, and now they're back. They're equal. They're equal length, so that's good. But you can see how much space you create in your shoulder joint by doing that simple stretch. And that's going to have beneficial reverberations through the low back. When the shoulders are set right in the torso, the low back is also set right. And this shoulder clock helps to set the shoulders right. All right, let's do some seated poses from here. And these seated poses, we're going to focus a little bit on hips and hamstrings. Okay, so the first one is for the hips. Just bring the soles of the feet together, hands behind the back, let the hips splay outward. How low your hips are to the ground is not important. Let me repeat that. How low your knees are. How low your knees are to the ground is not important. Right? This distance here between the knee and the floor is really secondary. We're just splaying our knees outward, and you'll probably feel some pulling around the insides of the hips. Okay, and then extending the leg forward, extending the leg forward. I'm doing my right leg here. Use your hands to keep your back lifted. And even just this action of lifting the back up, you'll probably feel some pulling. I feel some subtle pulling here in the hamstring muscles, and that goes to show you just how much the back and the back of the legs are connected. When you extend your back up, you probably will feel some pulling in the back of the leg. So you may be frustrated here if you want to stretch your back up tighter or longer, but your leg is hurting. In that case, you could bend your knee. You could bend your knee and see if that doesn't help you to sit up straighter. Either way, straight knee or bent knee is fine. Okay? The more important thing is that our back is upright. Okay? Let's reach the arms overhead and then fold over that extended leg. And notice you could grab your toes. I could grab my toes if I want to. That helps my shoulders rest. If you can't reach your toes, then don't feel like you if you can't reach your toes here, to allow your shoulders. See how my shoulders are relaxed here? If you can't reach your toes, still you want to relax your shoulders. So if your hands only come to your ankles, allow your shoulders to relax instead of continuing to try to reach forward, because what we're doing is trying to relax that upper back, so that it can stay kind of loose and givey. And here's where you can tuck your chin here a little bit. There's a tendency to want to lift the chin here. It does create a little bit of ease in the upper back, but I would suggest tucking the chin here as long as it's okay for your body to do so. And you might feel some stronger pulling in the hamstring when you do it. Again, to suggest that there's such an intimate connection between the hamstring muscle and the back. I notice this as I lengthen my back here and tuck my chin, my hamstring is being affected by that. So we want to be nice and easy. This is a very passive stretch. We're letting gravity do the work. We're just relaxing into it rather than actively trying to stretch something. Okay, and then when you're ready, come on back up. Take your time coming back up to a seat, but see if you can notice any differences with how it is to have your back sitting up. There's something very important about not depending on the back of a chair to sit up. We're engaging the muscles in our back that need to be engaged to strengthen the back. All right, let's try the other leg now. I'm going to lift my bent knee, swing my feet around to the other side and straighten that bent knee and bend my straight knee. All right, going the other way. Again, see how it feels to sit upright. If that doesn't feel natural, bend the knee and see if that makes a difference, allowing your back to be upright. How much you bend your knee, right, is up to you. It's not so important how much you bend your knee. The main thing is that our back is straight here, and then we're going to reach up and fold forward. This is still going to get you a nice hamstring stretch. All right, if the back of this leg is stiff, that's totally okay. We're just working with it where it is, not where we want it to be. Don't worry if you can't lower your knee down any. The point is to stretch the hamstring, to isolate it here. So if you can't touch your toes, try bending your knee, and then maybe you can touch your toes. It's not cheating. Just let your shoulders relax, your head comes down.
Relax your back here. Relax your back. And breathe. Take several easy breaths here. Okay, and when you're ready, come back up to a seat. Right now my back is a little bit rounded here. You can see like this is slouching. This is an exaggeration. But then what if I started to lengthen my back up? You can feel those muscles in the back and the hips working. That's why we need to stretch the hips. Muscles in the hips engage in order for us to lift up. So if the hip muscles are tight, that's going to affect our ability to sit upright. That's why we want to give the hips a little relaxation, a little stretch. You could do pigeon on this next one if you want. If you know what pigeon is, you want to do it. I'm gonna demonstrate the it's kind of a figure four that we make. So you come on onto your back. This is a more gentle way of doing pigeon. But if you prefer pigeon, you can go ahead and do that. I'm bringing my left foot on my right thigh, just above the knee. And then bringing my left hand through the hole there. Right hand clasps around there and just nice little pressing that leg, the right leg, drawing it in towards my abdomen. Gently nudging my left leg away from my body using my left elbow. Just gently nudging it. All right, and then let's switch. You could always stay there longer if you want to. Let's try the other side. We want to make sure we're getting the belly of the muscle and not the tendons or ligaments. We don't want to stretch those tendons or ligaments. We want to stretch the belly of the muscle. That's what's more flexible. Tendons and ligaments are not flexible. You can tear them, so we want to be careful there. Okay, one more real nice hip opener, real easy, gentle hip opener is Happy Baby. So for this one, we lift our feet up towards the ceiling, grab hold of our feet. I'm grabbing hold around the big toe. You can even just wrap your fingers around your big toe and toes and notice how my knees are coming down on either side of my body. You can kind of rock your feet apart and forward a little bit if you want to, or just forward and backward. Apart or together. That's what I meant to say. Bring your feet apart or together. Just be real easy here. If there's any pain in the hips, you don't want to be jiggling them around too much. Just very gentle. But this is more of another passive pose. The back rests, the hips are stretching. And they're really stretching because your hands, the weight of your hands
the weight of your arms, right? And you're just kind of pulling gently the feet towards your shoulders, very, very gently. Okay, and then slowly lower your feet to the ground. Feel free to stretch them out. Let your hips kind of readjust there. You can wiggle your toes. Maybe circle your feet around your ankles a few times. Okay, let's look at the possibility of doing an inversion. You could do bridge pose here if you'd like, where you bring your feet in and lift your back up just like so. If you want to do that, go ahead and do that. You can pause the recording here if you like and just do this for another 30 seconds to a minute. I'm going to demonstrate a modified plow pose. So for this one, if you choose to do this one, then you'll need a chair. Put it at the head of your mat. And lay down on your back. Again, if you see me doing this and you're like, I can't do this, that's no problem. Just stick with bridge pose for the time being. But this plow pose is also a nice stretch for the back. It's a way to relax the back. So, but we need to be prepared for it. And I would not suggest doing this unless you feel like your body is ready. So think about what you can do and try it out when you feel ready. So first is we're just going to lift the legs up towards the ceiling, as in shoulder stand. You want to have your hands supporting your low back, and I'm just, notice how I'm lifting my head and then placing it back down. So I'm creating space around the back of my neck, keeping the shoulder blades in their sockets and down, shoulders down on the mat. And then slowly I'm going to lower my feet to rest on the chair, right? And you could use your arms here, just reach them out over your head and let them rest. This is kind of like a forward fold, except we're doing it on our back instead of our front. So one way to warm up for this, if you don't feel ready to do it, is to stay here if you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable doing this, just stay. I'm just going to show you. It's basically the same thing as a forward fold, where we have both legs forward, just like so. It's almost the same thing. The difference is the head is lower than the heart, making it into an inversion. And when we get an inversion going like this, it gives the added benefit of relaxation. Assuming your legs and back are feeling a certain level of comfort in this pose. If they're not, then you need to probably do some more forward folds, do some bridge poses, and keep it at that, and work towards doing a plow pose. And again, this is a modified plow pose. We're letting our feet rest a little higher than they generally would. And we're also bringing our hands over our head, and that helps to allow our shoulders to relax a little bit. Okay, so I'll just stay here for another maybe 20 seconds or so. If you've been doing bridge instead, you could always come out of the pose, go back into it when you're ready, so that you give yourself some breaks.
Okay, and then feel free to start to come out of it by letting your hands come down to your sides, slowly lowering your back down, engaging your core muscles here. Squeeze your abdominal muscles to help slowly, mindfully lower the low back down. Okay, and then once your back is down, you could bend your knees here. That makes it real super easy to lower your feet to the ground, but it doesn't give you the core work that you would get. It gives you a little bit of core work, just having your knees bent and putting them down. But if you want to get more core working, keep your legs straight and then bring them down. Either one is fine, whatever you want to do. All right, let's transition here to deep relaxation. I'm going to grab my socks and put those on. And I would recommend if you're in a cold room, grabbing a blanket or something to put over yourself to make sure you stay warm for this last part of the class. We'll just spend about 5 minutes here in deep relaxation. We'll do a quick tightening and releasing of all the major muscle groups and then scan through the body, relaxing everything. Ready? All right, let's take a deep breath in and hold it. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the arms, lift them, lift the head, squeeze, and release. All right, now just starting to allow things to soften. Let's start with the top of the body and work our way down, starting with the head, the very top of your head, just relaxing at the top of your head. Relaxing all the muscles at the top, softening through your forehead, softening through your cheeks, softening your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in, relaxing everything. Neck and shoulders relaxed. Arms down through the elbows and the hands. The abdominal muscles softening. And the leg muscles all relaxing. And all the muscles throughout the whole body relaxing. And the neck muscles softening. Beginning to focus in on the breath. Letting go of the body. Notice the breath.
And then notice the thoughts, notice the mind, witness the mind, witness the mind. The witness is neutral, impartial. Now let go of the mind and witness any feelings of ease, of peace in your body or mind. All right, let's take a little deeper breath in when you're ready, or feel free to pause here and stay longer. Feel free to wiggle the fingers and toes, wake them up, or wiggle the legs and the arms, roll them a little bit, the head a little bit. Stretch out the arms if you'd like, rolling to the left side of the body, and then when you're ready, coming up to a seat. Take some time to adjust to the upright posture. Not too quickly moving about. Finding your breath and calming your body down with some degree of intention. It's important to remember to not rush. We have so many important things to do, but let's not hurry to get them done. Closing dedication. Feel free to think about those you love that you want to include here, and I'll do a universal dedication. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy.